The Calm Mind: How Mental Strength Conquers Life's Hardest Moments, published by the Growth Mind Audiobook. Introduction. Every difficult season begins with a decision, even if you don't realize you're making one. The decision to panic or pause, to dwell or act, to surrender or adapt. Most people believe the hardest battles in life are fought in boardrooms, hospitals, courtrooms, or moments of public failure. They aren't. The hardest battle begins much earlier, in the private conversations you have with yourself. Long before anyone sees your actions, your mind has already decided whether you will retreat or move forward. This is why two people can face the same rejection, the same loss, or the same uncertainty and walk away with entirely different futures. One allows fear to become a prison. The other turns the experience into preparation. The difference is rarely talent, intelligence, or luck. It is the ability to command the mind when life refuses to cooperate. The uncomfortable truth is that life is under no obligation to become easier. There will always be unexpected setbacks, difficult people, painful endings, broken plans, and moments when the future looks uncertain. Waiting for perfect conditions is a losing strategy because perfect conditions never arrive. The only lasting advantage you can build is becoming stronger than the challenges you face. That is the purpose of this audiobook. This is not a collection of motivational speeches designed to make you feel better for a few hours. It is a training ground for the mind. Every chapter is another layer of mental armor. You will identify the hidden habits that quietly weaken your confidence, dismantle the beliefs that keep you trapped, replace emotional reactions with deliberate action, and develop the discipline to remain calm when everyone else loses control. As you move through this journey, you won't simply collect new ideas, you will build a new operating system for your mind. You will learn to confront fear instead of avoiding it, make decisions instead of excuses, respond instead of react, and transform setbacks into opportunities for growth. Every lesson prepares you for the next, creating a stronger version of yourself, one decision at a time. By the end of this audiobook, your goal is not to become fearless. Fear will always exist. Your goal is to become stronger than your fear, not to eliminate uncertainty, but to move confidently through it, not to escape life's storms, but to become the person every storm fails to break. The world does not reward the loudest voice, the luckiest person, or the one with the easiest path. It rewards those who can stay focused when others panic, remain disciplined when others quit, and keep moving when everyone else stands still. Your transformation does not begin tomorrow. It begins with the next decision you make, and that decision starts now. Chapter 1. Expose the enemy inside your mind. If someone asked you to name the greatest obstacle standing between you and the life you want, what would your answer be? You might point to a lack of money, limited opportunities, difficult people, bad timing, or painful experiences from the past. These obstacles are real, and they can make life incredibly difficult. But there is another obstacle that often has more influence than all of them combined. It is the voice inside your own mind. This voice speaks constantly. Sometimes it encourages you to keep going, but more often it whispers quiet doubts that seem reasonable enough to believe. It tells you that you are not ready, that failure would be embarrassing, that success belongs to people who are more talented, more connected, or simply luckier than you. It convinces you to wait for the perfect moment, even though that moment never comes. The danger is not that these thoughts exist. Every human being experiences fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt. The real danger begins when you stop questioning them and start treating them as facts. A thought repeated often enough can become a belief, and a belief accepted without challenge can quietly shape an entire life. Think about how many decisions are made without conscious awareness. Someone avoids applying for a better job because they assume they are not qualified. Another stays silent during an important conversation because they expect rejection before speaking a single word. Someone else abandons a dream because progress feels slower than expected. In every case, the visible decision was made long before the action. It happened inside the mind. This is why mentally strong people do something that most people never learn to do. They separate what has happened from the story they are telling themselves about what has happened. Imagine making one mistake during a presentation. The event itself lasts only a few seconds, yet the mind quickly creates a much larger narrative. Everyone thinks I'm incompetent. I'll never be good at public speaking. I always mess things up. None of these conclusions are facts. They are interpretations. Yet if they remain unchallenged, they begin influencing future behavior. The next opportunity arrives, confidence disappears, and avoidance feels like the safest option. Your mind is an incredible problem-solving machine, but it also has a built-in survival system that constantly scans for danger. Thousands of years ago, this instinct helped human beings survive harsh environments. Today, the same system often mistakes discomfort for danger. A difficult conversation feels like a threat. Trying something unfamiliar feels risky. Receiving criticism feels like personal failure. The mind reacts as though your survival is at stake, even when your growth is simply being tested. Understanding this changes everything. It means you are not weak because you experience fear. You are human. The question is not whether fear will appear. The question is whether fear will become your leader. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is learning to observe your thoughts instead of immediately obeying them. When anxiety tells you that you will fail, pause and ask, is this a fact or is it only a prediction? When self-doubt insists that you are incapable, ask yourself what evidence actually supports that claim. Often you will discover that your mind has been presenting possibilities as certainties. This simple habit creates distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of becoming trapped inside every emotion, you become the observer who chooses which thoughts deserve attention and which deserve to be dismissed. That single shift gives you back something many people unknowingly surrender every day: the power to choose your response. Mental strength is not built by eliminating negative thoughts. That is impossible. It is built by refusing to let those thoughts make your decisions. Courage is not the absence of fear. Discipline is not the absence of temptation. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. They all begin the moment you stop allowing temporary emotions to dictate permanent actions. The first battle is never against the world. It is against the assumptions, fears, and unconscious habits that quietly influence the way you see yourself and the opportunities in front of you. Until you recognize this hidden opponent, you will continue fighting the wrong battles. Today, that changes. From this moment forward, begin paying attention to the conversations happening inside your own mind. Listen carefully to the stories you repeat, the excuses you automatically believe, and the fears that appear whenever growth demands courage. Do not accept them simply because they are familiar. Question them, challenge them, replace them with thoughts grounded in truth rather than assumption. Because the moment you expose the enemy within, you take away its greatest advantage, its ability to operate without being seen. And once you can clearly see it, you are finally ready to defeat it. Chapter 2. Destroy the lies that keep you stuck. Once you recognize that your greatest opponent is often the voice inside your own mind, the next challenge becomes clear. You must learn to question what that voice tells you. Awareness is the beginning of change, but awareness alone changes nothing. If you continue believing every thought that enters your mind, you simply become more aware of the prison you are living in. Freedom begins the moment you challenge the stories that have quietly controlled your decisions for years. The human mind is remarkable, but it is not always truthful. It remembers painful experiences more vividly than pleasant ones. It searches for patterns, even when none exist. It predicts the future based on limited evidence, and then behaves as though those predictions are guaranteed to happen. Over time, assumptions become beliefs, beliefs become habits, and habits begin shaping an identity that may have little connection to reality. Think back to a moment when something went wrong. Perhaps you failed an important exam, lost a job opportunity, ended a relationship, or watched a carefully planned goal fall apart. The event itself was painful, but what happened afterward mattered even more. Your mind immediately searched for an explanation. Unfortunately, it often chose the harshest one available. Instead of saying, "This didn't work," it whispered, "You aren't good enough." Instead of saying, "You need a different strategy," it insisted, "You always fail." Instead of saying, "This chapter is over," it concluded, "Your future is over." These are not facts. They are emotional conclusions disguised as logical thinking. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that because a thought feels convincing, it must also be true. But emotions are powerful storytellers, not reliable historians. Fear speaks with confidence. Doubt sounds reasonable. Insecurity often disguises itself as caution. If you never examine these voices, they quietly become the architects of your life. Consider how many opportunities disappear because of beliefs that are never tested. Someone dreams of starting a business but convinces themselves they are too inexperienced. Another wants to speak in public but decides people will judge every mistake. Someone hopes to build healthier relationships but believes they are impossible to love because of past disappointments. None of these conclusions are based on certainty. They are based on assumptions that have been repeated until they feel permanent. The most dangerous lies are rarely dramatic. They arrive quietly, disguised as common sense. "I'll do it when I'm more confident. People like me never succeed. It's probably too late. I don't want to risk looking foolish." Listen carefully to those statements. Every one of them predicts the future without evidence. Every one of them asks you to surrender before the battle has even begun. Mentally strong people develop a different habit. They become investigators instead of believers. When a limiting thought appears, they refuse to accept it without questioning its source. They ask simple but powerful questions. Is this absolutely true? What evidence supports it? What evidence challenges it? Am I responding to facts or am I reacting to fear? These questions interrupt automatic thinking. They force the mind to slow down instead of racing toward the worst possible conclusion. More importantly, they remind you that your thoughts work for you, not the other way around. Another powerful shift is learning to separate your identity from your experiences. Failing at something does not make you a failure. Feeling anxious does not make you weak. Receiving criticism does not mean you have no value. Life is full of temporary events, but the mind often turns temporary events into permanent labels. This habit quietly limits growth because people stop seeing themselves as individuals who can improve. Instead, they begin defending an identity they never intentionally chose. Replace statements like, "I'm not confident," with, "I'm learning confidence." Replace, "I'm bad at handling pressure," with, "I'm developing the ability to stay calm under pressure." These may seem like small changes, but language shapes perception, and perception shapes behavior. The words you repeat eventually become the person you believe yourself to be. Destroying limiting beliefs does not mean replacing them with unrealistic optimism. It means replacing distortion with accuracy. Confidence built on fantasy collapses quickly. Confidence built on truth becomes incredibly resilient. Honest thinking allows you to acknowledge your weaknesses without becoming imprisoned by them. It gives you permission to improve instead of pretending you are already perfect. Remember, the goal is not to silence every negative thought. That will never happen. The goal is to stop allowing those thoughts to make decisions for you. Every time you challenge a false belief, you weaken its influence. Every time you choose action instead of avoidance, you rewrite the story your mind has been telling for years. The strongest minds are not free from doubt. They simply refuse to let doubt write the ending. Today, make a commitment to become the editor of your own thoughts instead of their obedient reader. Question the stories that make you smaller. Reject the assumptions that steal your courage. Replace fear with evidence, excuses with action, and limitation with possibility. Because the moment you destroy the lies that have kept you stuck, you create space for something far more powerful, the truth about who you are capable of becoming. Chapter 3. Own reality and reclaim your power. After exposing the hidden patterns in your thinking and challenging the beliefs that have held you back, you arrive at a crossroads. You can continue arguing with reality, wishing life had unfolded differently, or you can face the truth with open eyes and steady resolve. This is where real mental strength begins, not when life becomes fair, but when you stop waiting for it to be. Many people spend years fighting battles that can never be won. They replay conversations they cannot change. They resent circumstances they cannot erase. They imagine endless versions of the past, convinced that if one event had gone differently, everything else would have fallen into place. While their bodies move forward, their minds remain trapped in yesterday. The past has an unusual power. It cannot physically stop you, yet it can influence every decision you make if you allow it. A painful failure convinces you not to try again. A betrayal teaches you to distrust everyone. A disappointment becomes proof that hope is dangerous. Gradually, your future is no longer shaped by what is possible. It is shaped by what has already happened. But reality does not change simply because we resist it. The more energy you spend arguing with what already exists, the less energy you have available to improve what comes next. Acceptance is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and imagine surrender, weakness, or giving up. In truth, acceptance is the opposite. It is the decision to stop wasting emotional energy on things beyond your control, so you can invest that energy where it actually makes a difference. Imagine a sailor caught in a powerful storm. They cannot command the wind to change direction or force the waves to become calm. If they spend their time cursing the weather, the boat continues drifting. But the moment they accept the conditions as they are, they begin adjusting the sails, studying the current, and steering towards safety. Acceptance does not remove the storm. It restores the ability to respond intelligently. Life works much the same way. Every day presents two separate realities. The first is what has happened. The second is the meaning you choose to give it. Most suffering grows in the space between those two realities. Losing a job is difficult. Convincing yourself that your career is over creates a different level of suffering. Making a mistake is uncomfortable. Deciding that one mistake defines your worth creates unnecessary pain. Receiving criticism can sting, but believing it erases your value gives criticism a power it never deserved. The event and the interpretation are not the same. This distinction may seem simple, but it changes everything. When you separate facts from interpretation, you recover something that fear often steals: perspective. Perspective allows you to ask better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of saying, "Everything is falling apart," you ask, "What is still within my control?" Instead of focusing on what has been taken away, you begin identifying what can still be built. Notice that none of these questions deny reality. They simply refuse to become imprisoned by it. One of the greatest sources of inner strength is learning to divide life into two categories. In the first category are the things you cannot control: other people's opinions, unexpected setbacks, the passage of time, economic uncertainty, past decisions, and countless events beyond your influence. In the second category are the things you can control: your effort, your attitude, your preparation, your honesty, your discipline, and your response. Most people exhaust themselves trying to manage the first category while neglecting the second. They chase certainty where none exists. They seek approval from people who may never offer it. They postpone action until circumstances feel perfect. Meanwhile, the areas where they possess genuine influence receive very little attention. Mentally resilient people reverse this pattern. They become almost obsessive about protecting their energy. Whenever they catch themselves worrying about something beyond their control, they gently redirect their attention toward the next meaningful action they can take. They understand that progress is not built through endless worry but through consistent, purposeful decisions. This does not mean they never feel disappointment. They do. It does not mean they never experience grief, frustration, or uncertainty. They experience all of these emotions deeply. The difference is that they refuse to build a permanent home inside temporary circumstances. Think about a tree during a powerful storm. It does not survive because it is stronger than the wind. It survives because it bends without breaking. Flexibility is not weakness. It is one of nature's greatest forms of strength. The same principle applies to the human mind. The people who adapt are often the people who endure. Owning reality also requires taking responsibility, not for everything that has happened to you, but for what happens next. There is an important difference. You are not responsible for every obstacle placed in your path. You are, however, responsible for choosing your direction after encountering it. Responsibility can feel heavy at first because it removes excuses, yet it also gives something far more valuable in return: freedom. The moment you accept responsibility for your response, you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you. You stop believing your future depends entirely on changing circumstances. Instead, you begin building a life from the ground you are standing on, not the ground you wish you had. Today, make one simple commitment. Stop negotiating with reality. See it clearly. Accept it honestly. Then ask yourself one question that has the power to transform every difficult moment. What is the strongest move I can make from here? That single question shifts your attention away from regret and toward action. And the moment you begin acting from reality instead of resisting it, you reclaim the one thing no circumstance can permanently take away: your power to choose the next step. Chapter 4. Train your mind like an elite performer. By now, you have uncovered the hidden battles inside your mind, challenged the stories that held you back, and learned to face reality without wasting energy resisting it. But insight alone will not transform your life. Understanding what to do is very different from becoming the kind of person who actually does it. This is where many people lose momentum. They mistake inspiration for change. They read a powerful book, watch an uplifting video, or attend a motivating seminar, believing they have taken a significant step forward. For a few days, their enthusiasm is high. Then life returns to normal, old habits reappear, and the excitement slowly fades. Mental strength is never built through occasional motivation. It is built through deliberate repetition. Consider an elite athlete preparing for a championship. They do not wait until the day of the competition to develop endurance, sharpen their skills, or strengthen their body. They prepare long before the pressure arrives. Every ordinary training session becomes an investment in extraordinary performance. Your mind works exactly the same way. The moments that define your character are not the moments when life is easy. They are the moments when everything feels uncertain, when emotions are running high, and when every instinct tells you to give up. In those moments, you will not suddenly discover new discipline. You will rely on the discipline you have already built. That is why your daily routines matter far more than your occasional breakthroughs. Every morning presents a quiet opportunity to train your mind. Before checking your phone, before reacting to the demands of the day, take a few moments to decide how you want to show up. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I choose to be today? This simple question shifts your attention away from circumstances and toward intention. Throughout the day, small choices continue shaping your mental resilience. Finishing a task you wanted to postpone, staying calm during an uncomfortable conversation, listening before reacting, keeping a promise you made to yourself. None of these actions seem dramatic on their own, but together they create a mind that becomes increasingly reliable under pressure. Many people underestimate the power of consistency because individual actions appear insignificant. Missing one workout does not seem harmful. Breaking one commitment feels harmless. Giving in to one excuse appears reasonable. But habits are not built from isolated decisions. They are built from repeated patterns. Every action sends a message to your mind about who you are becoming. When you repeatedly choose discipline over convenience, your confidence grows naturally because you begin trusting yourself. You no longer depend on motivation to move forward. Your actions become guided by commitment rather than emotion. This also means protecting your mental environment. The information you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the people you spend time with all influence your thinking. Just as you would not expect an athlete to perform well while neglecting their physical health, you cannot expect a resilient mind to grow in an environment filled with constant negativity, distraction, and unnecessary comparison. Training your mind also requires learning to recover. Elite performers understand that rest is not the opposite of discipline, it is part of it. A tired mind struggles to think clearly, regulate emotions, and make wise decisions. Creating space for reflection, quiet moments, and healthy recovery strengthens your ability to handle future challenges with clarity instead of exhaustion. Remember, your goal is not to become perfect. Perfection creates pressure, while progress creates momentum. Some days you will fall short of your expectations. You will lose patience, make mistakes, or return to old habits. Those moments do not erase your progress unless you allow them to become permanent. Each new day offers another opportunity to practice. Mental strength is not revealed through one heroic act. It is forged through hundreds of ordinary decisions that no one else notices. Every disciplined choice strengthens your character. Every promise you keep to yourself reinforces self-respect. Every challenge you face without retreat prepares you for the next one. Train your mind with the same dedication an elite performer brings to their craft, and when life's greatest tests arrive, you will not be hoping you are strong enough. You will already know you are. Chapter 5. Command your emotions before they command you. No matter how disciplined you become, there will always be moments when emotions arrive without warning. A harsh comment can ignite anger. Unexpected news can trigger fear. A broken promise can leave you disappointed. These reactions are part of being human. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to stop letting feelings take control of your decisions. Many people confuse emotional strength with emotional suppression. They believe mentally strong individuals never feel anxious, frustrated, or hurt. In reality, they experience the same emotions as everyone else. The difference is that they do not hand over the steering wheel to those emotions. Imagine driving through a heavy storm. Rain pounds against the windshield, visibility is poor, and strong winds push the car from side to side. The weather is beyond your control, but your response is not. You slow down, focus on the road, and adjust your driving instead of abandoning the wheel. Emotions work in much the same way. You cannot always control when they appear, but you can decide how you respond once they do. One of the greatest mistakes people make is reacting immediately. An angry email receives an even angrier reply. A moment of criticism turns into an argument that damages a relationship. Fear leads to avoidance, and avoidance quietly becomes a habit. In each case, the emotion lasts only a few moments, but the consequences can last for years. Mentally resilient people practice a simple discipline. They create space between what happens and what they do next. That pause may last only a few seconds, but it changes everything. It gives reason an opportunity to speak before emotion takes over. Instead of asking, "How do I feel right now?" they ask, "What response will I be proud of tomorrow?" This small shift transforms impulsive reactions into intentional choices. Another important lesson is understanding that emotions carry information, not instructions. Fear may signal that something matters to you, but it does not automatically mean you should walk away. Anger may reveal that a boundary has been crossed, but it does not justify hurting someone in return. Sadness may remind you that something valuable has been lost, but it does not mean hope is gone. Treat your emotions like trusted advisors, not unquestioned commanders. Listen carefully to what they reveal, but let your values make the final decision. It is also worth remembering that emotions are temporary, even when they feel permanent. Think back to moments you once believed would break you forever. Over time, the intensity faded, new experiences arrived, new perspectives emerged. What seemed unbearable eventually became part of your story, rather than the end of it. When emotions are strongest, your perspective often becomes narrow. One setback feels like your entire future. One disagreement feels like the end of a relationship. One failure feels like proof that you will never succeed. This is why patience is one of the greatest forms of emotional intelligence. Time often reveals truths that intense emotions cannot see. Learning to command your emotions also means taking responsibility for your internal state. You cannot always choose what other people say or do, but you can choose whether their actions continue living rent-free in your mind. Carrying resentment, replaying arguments, or constantly seeking revenge only extends the influence of someone else's behavior over your own life. Forgiveness, in this sense, is not about excusing harmful actions. It is about refusing to let those actions control your future. You release the emotional weight, not because the other person deserves peace, but because you do. Every difficult emotion presents a choice. You can react automatically, or you can respond intentionally. One path strengthens old habits. The other strengthens your character. The calmest people are not those who never experience emotional storms. They are the ones who have learned to anchor themselves while the storm is still raging. They understand that feelings are temporary visitors, but decisions often leave permanent footprints. As you continue this journey, remember this simple principle. Your emotions deserve to be acknowledged, but they should never become the author of your life. When you learn to command them with patience, wisdom, and self-control, you discover a quiet strength that no circumstance can easily take away. Chapter 6. Turn every setback into your strongest advantage. Every meaningful life includes setbacks. No amount of preparation, intelligence, or determination can eliminate disappointment entirely. Plans fall apart. Opportunities disappear. People leave. Effort does not always produce immediate results. The question is not whether you will encounter adversity. The question is what adversity will produce in you. For many people, setbacks become permanent stopping points. One rejection convinces them to stop trying. One mistake becomes a reason to lower their expectations. One unexpected failure slowly reshapes the way they see themselves. Without realizing it, they begin building a smaller life to avoid experiencing another disappointment. But mentally resilient people see adversity through a different lens. They do not pretend painful experiences are enjoyable, nor do they deny the emotional weight of loss. Instead, they ask a different question. Rather than asking, "Why did this happen to me?" they ask, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That single shift changes everything. Imagine a blacksmith shaping a piece of steel. The metal is heated until it glows, then struck repeatedly with a hammer. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it looks like destruction. In reality, every strike is creating something stronger. The steel is not being ruined. It is being refined. Life often works in the same way. The moments that challenge your patience, confidence, and courage are also the moments that reveal weaknesses you never noticed when life was comfortable. A failed business may expose poor planning. A broken relationship may reveal unhealthy communication habits. A missed opportunity may highlight skills that still need to be developed. These discoveries can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the beginning of growth. One of the greatest dangers after a setback is allowing one event to define your identity. Losing a competition does not make you incapable. Making a poor decision does not make you permanently unwise. Falling behind does not mean you will never move ahead again. Temporary outcomes should never become permanent labels. History is filled with people whose greatest achievements came after significant failure. What separated them from everyone else was not extraordinary luck. It was their refusal to let one chapter become the entire story. This mindset requires emotional courage. It is much easier to blame circumstances, criticize other people, or convince yourself that success was never possible. Taking responsibility for your next step demands far more strength. Yet responsibility is also where your greatest power lives. The moment you accept that you can learn, adapt, and improve, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of events and begin acting as the author of your future. There is another important lesson hidden inside adversity. Hardship has a way of revealing what comfort often conceals. It exposes your habits, your priorities, your relationships, and your character. During easy seasons, confidence can be built on convenience. During difficult seasons, confidence must be built on conviction. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are their strength was not created by an easy life. It was shaped through challenges they refused to let define them. Their resilience came from repeatedly choosing to continue when stopping would have been easier. You can make the same choice. The next time life disappoints you, resist the urge to ask whether the setback has ruined your future. Instead, ask whether it is preparing you for a future you could not yet see. Every obstacle carries information. Every failure contains feedback. Every difficult season offers an opportunity to develop patience, wisdom, humility, or perseverance. Growth rarely arrives wearing the clothes of comfort. More often, it enters disguised as inconvenience, frustration, or unexpected change. As you move forward, stop measuring your progress by how often life goes according to plan. Measure it by how quickly you recover, how honestly you learn, and how courageously you continue. Because the strongest people are not those who never fall. They are the ones who refuse to let every fall become a final destination. They rise with greater wisdom than before, carrying forward not just the memory of the setback, but the strength they gained because of it. Chapter 7. Conquer uncertainty with unshakable confidence. If setbacks test your resilience, uncertainty tests your courage. Most people believe they are afraid of failure, but that is rarely the real problem. What they fear most is not knowing what will happen next. The human mind naturally seeks certainty. It wants guarantees before taking risks, clear answers before making decisions, and perfect conditions before moving forward. Yet life offers very few guarantees. It asks you to act long before it reveals the outcome. This is where many dreams quietly disappear. Someone delays launching a business until they feel completely ready. Years pass and they are still waiting. Another postpones changing careers because the future feels unpredictable. Someone stays in an unhealthy relationship because the uncertainty of leaving seems more frightening than the discomfort of staying. In every case, uncertainty becomes an invisible prison. The irony is that certainty itself is an illusion. No one can predict the economy, control other people's decisions, or guarantee tomorrow's opportunities. Even the most carefully planned life can change overnight. If your peace depends on knowing exactly what comes next, you will spend much of your life feeling anxious because certainty is something the world rarely provides. Mentally strong people understand a different truth. They stop searching for certainty and begin building adaptability. Think about experienced sailors crossing the open ocean. They do not expect calm water every day. They know the wind will change, storms will appear, and unexpected currents will alter their course. Instead of demanding perfect weather, they develop the skills to navigate whatever conditions they encounter. Their confidence does not come from controlling the sea. It comes from trusting their ability to respond. That is the kind of confidence you must build. Real confidence is not believing that everything will go according to plan. It is believing that whatever happens, you will find a way to handle it. This shift changes how you approach challenges. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" begin asking, "If something goes wrong, how will I respond?" The first question feeds fear because it focuses on imagined disasters. The second creates confidence because it reminds you of your ability to adapt. Notice how different those mindsets feel. One waits for certainty before acting. The other develops confidence by acting despite uncertainty. Courage has never required complete confidence. Every meaningful achievement in history began with someone stepping into the unknown without any guarantee of success. Entrepreneurs invest before profits exist. Explorers travel beyond familiar territory. Artists create before knowing whether anyone will appreciate their work. Parents raise children without a manual. Every significant step forward begins with incomplete information. Your life is no different. Another important lesson is to stop confusing preparation with perfection. Prepare as thoroughly as you can. Learn, practice, ask questions, and improve your skills. But eventually, there comes a moment when no amount of preparation can eliminate uncertainty. At that point, growth demands action. Waiting until fear disappears is another form of delay. Fear often remains present even after you have gained experience. The difference is that mentally resilient people stop treating fear as a stop sign. They recognize it as evidence that they are stepping beyond what is familiar. Instead of retreating, they move carefully but confidently toward the challenge. Each time you do this, something remarkable happens. Your comfort zone expands. Situations that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable. Confidence grows not because uncertainty disappears, but because you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can survive it. This is why self-trust is more valuable than certainty. When you trust yourself, unexpected problems become puzzles instead of disasters. Mistakes become lessons instead of verdicts. Delays become temporary detours instead of permanent defeats. You no longer depend on life being predictable because you have become adaptable. As you continue your journey, remember this simple principle. Confidence is not the reward you receive after everything works out. Confidence is the decision to keep moving before you know how everything will unfold. The future will always contain unanswered questions. There will always be moments when the path ahead is unclear. Do not let that uncertainty convince you to stand still. Move with wisdom, prepare with discipline, adapt with resilience, and trust that every courageous step into the unknown is also a step toward becoming the strongest version of yourself. Chapter 8. Replace impulse with calm, decisive action. By this point in your journey, you have learned to recognize the hidden patterns of your mind, challenge limiting beliefs, accept reality, build disciplined habits, master your emotions, grow through setbacks, and move confidently through uncertainty. Now, all of those lessons come together in one defining skill: the ability to act with intention instead of impulse. Your life is not shaped by a handful of dramatic decisions. More often, it is shaped by the thousands of ordinary choices you make without much thought. A careless comment damages a friendship. An impulsive purchase creates financial stress. A moment of hesitation costs an opportunity. A quick emotional reaction turns a small disagreement into a lasting conflict. These moments seem insignificant on their own, but over time they become the architecture of your life. The truth is simple. Every action has two beginnings. The first happens in your mind. The second happens in the world. If you can gain control over the first, you greatly improve the second. Think of a skilled archer preparing to release an arrow. They do not fire the instant they pick up the bow. They pause. They steady their breathing, they focus on the target, they account for the wind. Only then do they let the arrow go. That brief moment of patience often determines whether they hit the target or miss it completely. Your decisions deserve the same level of attention. One of the greatest advantages you can develop is the habit of creating a pause between stimulus and response. Someone criticizes your work. Before defending yourself, pause. An unexpected problem appears. Before assuming the worst, pause. A tempting shortcut promises immediate rewards. Before acting, pause. That pause is not weakness. It is the birthplace of wisdom. Impulsive decisions are usually driven by the desire for immediate relief. We speak because we want to release frustration. We quit because we want to escape discomfort. We avoid difficult conversations because we want temporary peace. The problem is that immediate relief often creates long-term regret. Mentally strong people reverse this pattern. They are willing to tolerate short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term growth. They understand that a difficult conversation can strengthen trust. A disciplined decision today can create freedom tomorrow. A few moments of patience can prevent years of unnecessary consequences. Another important habit is learning to ask better questions before making important decisions. Instead of asking, "What feels easiest right now?" ask, "What serves my future self?" Instead of asking, "How can I avoid this challenge?" ask, "Who will I become if I face it?" These questions shift your focus away from temporary emotions and toward lasting values. Values act like a compass. Emotions change from one moment to the next, but values remain steady. If honesty is one of your values, you tell the truth even when lying would be easier. If discipline is one of your values, you keep your commitments even when motivation disappears. If kindness is one of your values, you choose respect even when someone else behaves poorly. This is how calm decision makers earn trust. They are predictable in the best possible way. Their actions are guided by principles rather than moods. People know where they stand because their character is consistent, even when circumstances are not. There is also great power in accepting that not every decision needs to be immediate. Modern life encourages constant urgency. Messages demand instant replies. Opinions are expected within seconds. Every problem seems to require an immediate solution. But wisdom often grows in silence, not speed. Some of the best decisions are made after stepping away for a moment, gathering more information, and allowing emotions to settle. Clarity rarely comes from panic. It comes from patience. As you practice responding instead of reacting, you will notice a quiet transformation. Situations that once overwhelmed you begin to lose their power. You become less concerned with proving yourself and more committed to improving yourself. You stop chasing the fastest answer and start pursuing the wisest one. In the end, mental strength is not measured by how quickly you act. It is measured by how thoughtfully you choose your actions. Every calm decision strengthens your confidence. Every intentional response reinforces your character. Every disciplined choice moves you closer to the person you set out to become, because true power is not found in reacting to life. It is found in leading your own mind, one deliberate decision at a time. Chapter 9. Forge an identity that nothing can break. Everything you have learned so far leads to this moment. You have exposed the patterns that once controlled your thinking. You have challenged limiting beliefs, accepted reality instead of resisting it, trained your mind through daily discipline, learned to guide your emotions, transformed setbacks into lessons, embraced uncertainty, and replaced impulsive reactions with thoughtful action. None of these lessons were ends in themselves. They were building something far more important, your identity. Most people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances while overlooking the person creating those circumstances. They chase better opportunities, healthier relationships, financial success, or greater recognition, believing those achievements will finally make them confident. Sometimes they succeed, but the confidence doesn't last. Why? Because confidence built on external results is always temporary. The moment those results disappear, so does the confidence attached to them. A stronger life begins with a stronger identity. Your identity is not your job title, your income, your reputation, or the opinions people hold about you. Those things can change overnight. Your identity is the collection of principles, habits, and decisions you consistently live by. It is the answer to one simple question: who are you when everything familiar is taken away? Life has a way of asking that question when you least expect it. A successful career may suddenly end. A relationship you believed would last forever may come to an unexpected close. Financial security can disappear because of circumstances beyond your control. In those moments, people who have built their identity around external achievements often feel as though they have lost themselves. But those who have built their identity on character stand differently. They may experience disappointment, but they do not lose their direction. They may grieve what was lost, but they do not lose sight of who they are. Their confidence comes from something deeper than temporary success. It comes from knowing they can trust themselves to face whatever comes next. Self-trust is earned, not inherited. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens it. Every difficult conversation you choose instead of avoiding it. Every disciplined action taken when no one is watching. Every time you act according to your values rather than your emotions, you place another brick in the foundation of your character. Eventually, these repeated actions become part of your identity. You no longer think of yourself as someone trying to be disciplined. You become a disciplined person. You no longer hope to become resilient someday. Resilience becomes part of how you naturally respond to adversity. Your habits stop feeling like temporary efforts and begin reflecting the person you have chosen to become. This is why identity is more powerful than motivation. Motivation changes with your mood. Identity remains steady. A motivated person exercises when they feel inspired. A person who identifies as someone who values health exercises because that is simply what they do. A motivated person remains calm when life is easy. A person who identifies as mentally strong chooses calmness even when life becomes chaotic. Your identity quietly influences every decision you make. Another important step is releasing the need for constant approval. Many people unknowingly allow other people's opinions to define their sense of worth. They adjust their behavior to avoid criticism, seek validation through achievement, or measure their value by comparison. This creates a fragile identity because it depends on something that can never be fully controlled. The moment you stop allowing applause to determine your confidence, you become far more difficult to shake. This does not mean ignoring feedback or believing you are always right. It means understanding the difference between learning from others and living for their approval. Growth requires humility, but confidence requires independence. As you continue shaping your identity, remember that small actions matter far more than grand declarations. Character is not built during rare moments of greatness. It is built through ordinary choices repeated consistently over time. The person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the decisions you make today, so choose them carefully. Choose integrity when dishonesty seems easier. Choose discipline when comfort calls your name. Choose patience when frustration demands an immediate reaction. Choose courage when fear encourages retreat. Every one of those decisions sends a message to your mind about who you are. Over time, those messages become beliefs. Those beliefs become habits. Those habits become character. And that character becomes an identity that remains steady regardless of success or failure, praise or criticism, certainty or change. Because when your identity is built on principles instead of circumstances, life may bend you, challenge you, and test you, but it will never truly break you. Chapter 10. Live every day with calm, unbreakable strength. Reaching the final chapter does not mean your journey is complete. In many ways, it is only beginning. Mental strength is not a destination you arrive at once and keep forever. It is a daily practice. Just as physical fitness fades without regular training, emotional resilience weakens when it is neglected. Every new day presents fresh challenges, unexpected decisions, and moments that invite you either to return to old habits or to apply the lessons you have worked so hard to build. The true measure of a calm mind is not how you perform when everything is going according to plan. It is how you respond when life interrupts your plans. There will still be mornings when doubt quietly appears before your feet touch the floor. There will still be conversations that test your patience, setbacks that challenge your confidence, and moments when fear tries to convince you that the safest choice is to stop moving forward. The difference is that you are no longer the person you were when this journey began. You now understand that your first thoughts are not always your wisest thoughts. You know that emotions deserve attention but should not control your actions. You recognize that setbacks carry lessons, uncertainty creates opportunities for growth, and discipline is far more dependable than temporary motivation. Most importantly, you have learned that your greatest source of strength is not found in controlling life. It is found in controlling your response to life. That understanding changes everything. Imagine beginning each morning with one simple commitment. Today, I will respond with intention instead of impulse. Those few words become a quiet promise to yourself. No matter what happens, you will pause before reacting. You will seek understanding before judgment. You will choose progress over perfection and purpose over panic. These decisions may appear small, but they accumulate. Day after day, they shape your habits. Habit after habit, they shape your character. Character, in turn, shapes your future. This is how extraordinary lives are built, not through dramatic transformations that happen overnight, but through ordinary choices repeated with extraordinary consistency. There is another truth worth remembering. Strength and kindness are not opposites. Some people believe remaining calm means becoming emotionally distant or indifferent. Real strength looks different. It allows you to remain compassionate without becoming overwhelmed by other people's emotions. It gives you the courage to speak honestly without becoming cruel. It helps you stand firm without becoming rigid. A calm mind creates space for wisdom. As your inner world becomes more stable, your influence on the people around you begins to change as well. Your family notices that you listen more carefully. Your friends trust your judgment because you no longer react impulsively. Your colleagues respect your ability to remain composed under pressure. You may never realize how many people are quietly inspired simply by the way you carry yourself during difficult moments. Leadership begins long before someone gives you a title. Every calm response becomes an example. Every disciplined choice becomes permission for others to do the same. Your greatest contribution may not be a speech, an achievement, or a position of authority. It may simply be demonstrating that peace is possible even in the middle of uncertainty. As life continues, never stop becoming a student of your own mind. Continue questioning limiting beliefs before they become permanent. Continue strengthening habits that align with your values. Continue treating every setback as feedback and every challenge as another opportunity to grow stronger. Remember that growth is rarely visible from one day to the next. Like a tree extending its roots beneath the soil, much of your progress happens where no one can see it. Then one day, a storm arrives. While others wonder how you remained standing, you will know the answer. You prepared long before the wind began to blow. So walk forward with quiet confidence. Face uncertainty with courage. Meet hardship with resilience. Let discipline guide your actions and wisdom shape your decisions. Do not wait for life to become easier before deciding to become stronger, because the greatest victory is not reaching a point where nothing can challenge you. The greatest victory is becoming the kind of person who carries calm, clarity, and unbreakable strength into every challenge life places before you. And that is a victory no circumstance can ever take away. Conclusion. Every meaningful journey eventually reaches a final chapter, but the lessons it leaves behind are meant to be carried forward. This audiobook was never about giving you temporary motivation or helping you feel inspired for a single day. Its purpose has always been deeper than that. It was designed to help you build a way of thinking that remains steady when life becomes unpredictable, a mindset that grows stronger with every challenge instead of being defeated by it. Think back to where this journey began. You first learned that the greatest battles are often invisible, taking place within your own mind long before they appear in the outside world. From there, you uncovered the false beliefs that quietly limited your potential, accepted reality without surrendering your hope, developed discipline that could outlast emotion, learned to guide your feelings instead of being controlled by them, transformed setbacks into valuable lessons, embraced uncertainty with courage, replaced impulsive reactions with thoughtful decisions, and ultimately built an identity rooted in character rather than circumstances. These ideas are not separate techniques, they are connected pieces of the same foundation. Each one strengthens the next, creating a mind that is calm under pressure, flexible in the face of change, and resilient enough to recover from life's inevitable setbacks. As you move forward, remember that mental strength is not measured by how rarely you struggle. Even the strongest people experience fear, disappointment, frustration, and moments of doubt. What sets them apart is not the absence of difficulty, but the way they respond to it. They refuse to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. They understand that while they cannot control every event, they can always influence their attitude, their effort, and their next step. There will be days when you slip back into old habits. You may overthink, lose patience, or question your progress. Do not mistake those moments for failure. Growth has never been a straight line. Every time you recognize your mistake and choose a better response, you strengthen the very qualities you have been developing throughout this journey. From this day forward, treat every challenge as an opportunity to practice rather than a test you must perfectly pass. When uncertainty appears, respond with courage. When setbacks arrive, search for the lesson. When emotions become intense, choose wisdom before reaction. And when life feels overwhelming, remind yourself that your greatest strength has never come from controlling the world around you. It comes from mastering the world within you. The storms of life will continue to come, just as they always have. But you are no longer standing where you once stood. You have developed greater awareness, stronger discipline, deeper resilience, and a clearer sense of purpose. Those qualities cannot prevent every hardship, but they can change the way you experience every hardship. So leave this audiobook with a simple commitment. Keep training your mind, keep refining your character, and keep choosing calm over chaos, purpose over fear, and progress over perfection. Because a calm mind is not something you find once in a lifetime. It is something you build, protect, and strengthen every single day. And in the end, that quiet, unwavering strength will become your greatest advantage through every challenge, every opportunity, and every chapter of the life that still lies ahead.